Opportunities to potentially bring out that last resort, but for now we're starting off with first resorts as we're heading straight to that Infernal Shrines for the draft, with Ballistix immediately removing away that Alexstrasza.
Do not want to have that Dragon Queen in the Shrine phase. It's going to be the powerful to any team that gets first pick grabbed onto it, not just the Chinese team. Korean picks also picked it up very early on, right after the MSP, and that's why we see that many ban. But with that Genji, we do have Reign of Phoenix open. Let's see what Ballistix' choice is for the first pick, though.
I think I'm probably expecting to maybe see the Reynor here. It seems like it's got a good matchup into the Phoenix, unless they do want to go for the Deckard. That was my other suggestion. I was just about to get it. They beat me to it. Yeah, unless they want to control the supports, especially with that Alexstrasza ban, highlighting, some of the support chokes, especially on this map. You don't really want something like a Karazim or a Rhaegar. These heroes kind of struggle to take the Shrine fights, especially in the early game. So you're probably looking for more one of the sustain heroes. We could maybe see that Malfurion come out again for Tempest. The Korean teams have shown a preference for it.
Deckard also gives you the flexibility on your assassin as well. With Reina being stolen away, they still have the open capabilities for that Phoenix, if that's the route they want to go down, who also has a fair amount of AoE and teamfight potential onto those shrines. And of course, the Deckard empowered purification salvos can be very effective. So picking up the Deckard is more of the safer, flexible pick without hard committing to that single target style that the Reina can offer.
So late game sustain is just way too powerful from Deckard, and they do pick up because the Thrall was a possibility certainly, and you can kind of win lane against Blaze, which is not a bad idea. But always having some peel for your backline, because Tempest also has Blaze for the Blaze bunker for the safety tool. Phoenix, I think, even though he has warp, we've seen Phoenix going down so many times before that warp phase because it's got that initial time to actually have that warp around for the escape. We do need that Irel for the peeling here.
You see the use of the ban on that Sundering Thrall that I mentioned earlier, probably a highlight of this series. It kind of screams to me a little bit, Tempest pulling out something we saw again earlier. Maybe the Kel'Thas will make a return. Ooh. We've already seen them play it once on lockdown into that Phoenix earlier. Was a nice matchup, but Rich's Thrall was giving them a lot of issues. He was getting caught out by that Sundering. Maybe eliminating that is a way to free up their draft and maybe look for that Sun Mage again.
The possibility is there. Like you said, this is the fantastic map for it as well. Definitely the best Kel'Thas map due to the ability to burn through the Shrine minions. That's a
Uther.
Okay, so the Uther is picked up here. The Phoenix already offers a little bit of AoE, but what could this Uther be for? We think, are they afraid of melee, want to Divine Storm, or is this to empower something? Now, obviously, a Divine Shield on Reina is nothing to sniff at, but is there another plan here? We already saw how effectively Kel'Thas was blown up. Could we see potentially just a protection for that?
A Divine Shield Kel'Thas does seem a little bit suspicious. Not too much value coming out. Maybe a nice defensive tool so we can run away really fast with the move speed. But I think I'm more seeing...
Hey! The Kel'Thas returns.
I mean, the Uther is nice defensive tools, does help the Kel'Thas be a little bit safer. We were highlighting this earlier. I think removing the Sundering Thrall is a good call if they did want to play this Kel'Thas again. I do like the way they've set this up this time, especially into the Garrosh. I think he'll have a hard time reaching that Kel'Thas, and even if he does, as you say, do have the Uther at the ready.
This is technically a double cleanse if you count that Divine Shield, so the capabilities to try and protect your team from that Garrosh, which is where Reina, even with his armor, if he's in the backline of the enemy team, that's not where he wants to be. And exactly the same with Kel'Thas. Being able to prevent that happening in the first place can be an incredibly clutch move.
Yeah, because even if you have the bunker, if you're not around the bunker, you can't get in. You're going to die while you're trying to get in the bunker. If you have the Divine Shield, you can just slowly walk towards it. You'll be safe, and you can just take all the damage. You're basically invincible for all the time. You can put out the burst damage of skill. Kel'Thas can, before even he goes down, he will be having some major great Pyroblast in this game. That's possible.
Also, let's talk about that ace in the hole on Reina. There is so much CC here. Gravity Lapse, Uther Stuns, Anubarak, and Blaze. And with that draft, with the Kel'Thas, Twitch chat is leaning a little bit towards Tempest here. And, well, it was less than successful last time, but the belief is there.
I mean, I can't blame them. I think this looks like a much nicer Kel'Thas game. Both the tools that Genji had to deal with this, the Muradin and the Thrall, are not available for this roster of Ballistix. I think they're going to struggle to reach this Kel'Thas. We're probably going to have to be looking at SCSC and Jongha looking to set up these kind of big engages on that backline as a way to deal with this Fire Mage, because otherwise it's going to be hard.
Well, let's see if they can pull it off, as we're going to be heading into game number 1 of our penultimate series of the day, and it's going to be Tempest versus Ballistix.
And in blue, we have Tempest. Lockdown playing that Kalthus. Good on Raynor, Dami on Blaze, Sign playing on Uberak, and Hyde on, surprisingly, Uther.
And on the right-hand side, coming fresh off a series versus Blossom, it is Ballistix with Magi on Deckard Cain, SDE on Phoenix, Jongha on the Urel Hooligan on Garrosh, and SESC is bringing out the Hanzo. And they cannot tarry. It is time to see who can play against Genji in the finals. As both teams move towards the center, always have to be careful here, as Hooligan on that Garage can be an incredibly good punishing tool for anyone who oversteps.
And this is the perfect game for a Pyroblast. Hanzo can go over the wall and just seal away, just think like he can escape all the time, but Pyroblast will chase you down forever. Of course, you can get some armor from Urel and will help the damage, help from getting all the major damage, but Hanzo is actually super squishy against some burst damage from Kalthus. He has to really be careful in this game. Even though SCSC is known as the Hanzo god from Korea, I don't think he has faced against Kalthus in this season yet.
I mean, I doubt most people have. This is a very unusual pick that Tempest have brought out here. But let's see what they can do. They try to move forward onto Jongha. Remember, Gravity Labs would be a great setup. Jongha, very nice positioning, able to avoid that early game gank.
They're just going to continue. Some lane SCSC, of course, on that Hanzo again, but let's look at the camp times as how they're pressuring in Ballistix. They're running really quick camp times with Greymane. It is not the same situation, but they do have the siege damage from the Phoenix and some wave clear along, plus the siege after 4 push 7 when Hanzo finishes the quest, even easier later on. They do have Raynor and Kalthus, but they're as a speed of how they can actually rotate around the map, they're a little bit slower.
Jongha able to dodge absolutely everything that is thrown his way and is able to pull back, will rotate back to that top lane here. Uther, by the way, going for that Hammer of the Lightbringer, very much a standard coming out of Korea these days. It is especially the easiest one to stack, including the fact that Hyde was able to stack it while helping his team with that mercenary camp earlier on.
That is certainly true, and after that kind of interview from Hooligan that everyone watched, I think he's in that hype zone. Let's see how aggressive he actually becomes. When he gets into the zone, he goes all around, he stands alone, and he just gets the target. Even if he goes down as a sacrifice, he gets the DPS around the other opponent all the time. And we just have to see Sign oftentimes standing on the side. Hooligan does still have to be careful a little bit when Sign burrow charges in. If he's thrown on the back, then Sign has no escape to go whatsoever. So that's the reason behind the Garrosh pick, to kind of counter that burrow charge.
Netherwind coming in for Kalthus, that extra range. He wants to stay far back, not going for that cooldown reduction here. So very interesting to see. Makes a lot of sense, but you always have to be careful of that Indomitable from Garrosh. If he is given the opportunity to march forward and times it well, then anyone on this side of Tempest can be in danger until Cleanse is online.
They have a very slow rotation from Ballistix, making sure they have some information gathering around, just knowing Sign is, and they probably know exactly where they are as they just got the camp, but instead they stole the bottom one. They're focusing a little bit more onto the bottom side. If they can actually scratch the wall before getting the shrine, that would be good, but already shrine started.
Already 12-2 in favor of Ballistix, who took a bit of a head start, and they have a bit of a level lead here as they begin to try and take positioning, as Dami is trying to zone this out with some oil, but Lockdown taking a fair amount of poke damage actually.
So still sustain is really good from the burst heal, but for a long fight they can't really do the same. Hooligan trying to dive in. There's a great ground breaker hitting multiples. They're getting multiple stacks as well. Dami is so low. He has to be escaping from the fight. Sign is alone. Seems like he's going to be the only one to go down. Tempest, they have to fall back, and this Punisher nearly 100% going to Ballistix.
Yeah, very slow roll, but a roll nonetheless. Ballistix with full control of that fight. Take the kill, take the Punisher. And that is going to be a good start for them, able to control this from start to finish.
Because Tempest was so clumped up together, where Kalthus is supposed to be on the back providing some damage, but Hooligan just walked in like he's scared of nothing. You know, I don't care if there's a gravity lapse or whatever. I can just be unstoppable and keep walking towards you. If I throw you, you will be dead. And that's what he was saying. So they had to be intimidated. They had to go back. They provided no damage. And in the meantime, Sign was trying to do something else at the bottom, which he got no value out of it. So that will be the first Punisher going. But with that, they have the momentum. See, Ballistix, when they're on fire, they make these kind of macro decisions, this kind of a team fight decision, which is good. Actually better for Tempest. They are known for the team fight, but they cannot be stopped until now. Tempest, they have to find another way to stop that hooligan in the front line.
And that was the time that they had to make that play, as level 7 was approaching for both teams, and Hand of Protection is now online for Uther. So he has his version of Cleanse, reduces when he auto-attacks, which is basically what his build is about, with that pursuit of justice as well. Capitalizing off that cooldown reduction on his Hammer of Justice thanks to his level 1, which he has already finished stacking. And we see the nowadays usual Kael'thas talent of that Sunfire enhancement coming in.
Yeah, not just because of the previous Punisher. When Jungha has that Aerial, he wave clears so quickly and always joins the fight or clears the mid lane to get that extra EXP. It always stacked up for the team, and this is kind of the game that they're having in their hands as well. Tempest, even though they have the Blaze to kind of counter that to really to a safety exit, he cannot have the same speed as the Tempest, so they're still snowballing the lead as Ballistix. They still do have main control over this game.
We are seeing those Incinerator Gauntlets coming in for Blaze. He is preparing for maximum team fight damage. Once that AoE, it gives him great wave clear as well, something that everyone in the team except for Kael'thas lacks in at least a little bit. And of course, more AoE team fights against that Yrel and Garrosh, who are going to be front lining, wants to try and burn them down before they get in the engage range.
I think that's something that we actually have to worry about. Tempest, not that they're super far behind, and for the next shrine, they will be up around at the same level, level 10. Maybe they will have the bottom fort a little bit more damage because it seems like Ballistix wants to set that up with the fort already. With the camp already, excuse me. But Tempest, their rotation is actually just following Ballistix because nothing else is really happening on the map. They don't really have to go in, risk themselves against level 10s. They just have to keep their wall safe at the bottom. And look at that, Ballistix trying something new.
They get the toss onto Hyde. The one person who Hyde can't cleanse is Hyde as he gets the stun. Pursuit of Justice, but quick body blocks from Hooligan execute that kill as Uther moves back, trying to get to Sign to keep him healed.
And they do have 10, but they do not have Uther for their safety.
Pyroblast!
Onto Hooligan. Let's see if that's enough damage. Hyperion chasing all the targets, and Sign dives in for a Magi. Got to see his change. You see Kael'thas is also there, getting all that firepower onto Magi.
They get the flame strike, but the potion into the fray, and Muggy is out of there. They only pick up Hanzo in exchange for that Uther, but that still makes it a 1-for-1.
1-for-1 without Uther. That was an absolute beautiful chase and multiple target damage. That's the blast power that we have from Kael'thas, and that's pretty scary to see as Ballistix. They were having a 4v5 fight, and they almost lost that big time.
I mean, if someone's going to die in the fight first, it should be the Yorick. And if he's not on your team, Uther's pretty good. Thanks to that Ghost healing as Dami eats the Purification Salvo, but tanks through it for the moment. Slight disengage, but the turnaround using that Sunfire Enhanced Flame Strike onto Hooligan and drops him low.
Kael'thas is so far away from the fight. Ballistix, they cannot really touch him as Sign is trying to block every front line of Ballistix from coming dive in to the back line, so they will not be pressured in too much. But this one on top, there's less of an escape route, so Kael'thas, look at the positioning of Lockdown. He will be in the back trying to provide the safety near the bunker. Dami has to be near him all the time in this fight.
Trying to creep forward with Jongha being the front line. He is the safe one. SC takes the quick jump over the buildings. Here's the Cocoon onto Garrosh. Stay at one and listen, but the bunker is already down, keeping Anubarak safe.
And not much damage from the bunker. A lot has been wasted, but enough. Toss Lockdown. Hooligan has failed to do so in this one. Jongha goes dive in. They need a little bit more damage. Hanzo getting the multiple stuns, but no follow-up damage too much in there.
Dami is so low. He's going to port, and with that, Ballistix will once again retake control. With Blaze healing up, though, they're going to try and get the Fallen Shaman, but they don't really have enough time to try and make another play onto this, even though they're even on talents, even though they still have heroics available. It's just taking them too long to burn through this, and with that, you see Anubarak and Blaze rotate away. They're going to give this up and soak some experience.
That was a somewhat of a miscommunication in the middle. Dami wanted to go in when Kel'Thuz actually wanted to escape, so the bunker was away. Divine Shield had to be used on Kel'Thuz for not too much of a threat onto Kel'Thuz. So once that was wasted, Tempest knew they cannot really engage anymore. They just had to back out. So they lost the Punisher, even though they were holding Hyperion and Pyroblast very soon. They came back on cooldown.
Stay a while and listen. Back off cooldown. Dragon Arrow available in 10 seconds. So they have to be careful, and with that, Tempest will retreat. They have Bunker, but Blaze is soaking mid lane. They need to try and get themselves to that 13. If they can't win the Punisher, they need to not make sure that they don't fall too far behind.
It is the Arcane one. They do want to snowball this one, as Tempest did not really engage in support to do too much damage. They're just taking it down. Meantime, they're opening the wall. Ballistix, they are known as a team that will just rotate around, destroy all the walls, and not touch the fort, because they want to control the macro and just let all the minions do the damage for you, because they will be pressuring the other side of the lane. The other team has to use their resources to catch that around. So Ballistix, when they have a hold, they will continue to do this.
Good knock up by Kel'Thuz. A little bit of extra damage, but it's not enough. Quick heal up there from Deckard. And of course, it was on just the front liners who were able to tank through it without too much difficulty at this stage. But Tempest, only half a level behind here. They do hit their level 13 before the next team fight happens.
Dami needs to make sure that he is around Kel'Thuz all the time, or Sign. One of the two has to be around Vayner and Kel'Thuz, and because they have to choose one of the two, I think that's the main reason why we have Uther in this game, to have that secondary source, Divine Shield. And that didn't pair up too well. Last time they didn't really lose too many.
Yep.
They lost the Punisher and the Fort, but that's not the worst case scenario for them. As long as they keep themselves alive. Of course, Kel'Thuz didn't go convection, so he doesn't really have to stay alive the entire time, but still providing, not really letting Ballistix snowball too far ahead, because they did lose very early game. As long as they can follow up that similar level, I think they're good to go still.
Yeah, but there are so many protection tools coming online right now. The Fuel Leak for Blaze gives so much zoning potential. We already had Mana Addict stacked very quickly earlier on by that Kel'Thuz. And now with the World Merge coming in for Uther, they're going to be able to drop those damage numbers for anyone who decides to dive onto that backline. Likely going to be Phoenix, as he is the one who might need to get in range for his Plasma Cutter.
That's the power of Deckard, why he's been just even first banned, even the first pick, and having such a high win rate in this meta right now. Once you try to dive in with so many TC, you can just cut all that off with one press of that R button. Stay a while and listen. When they want to charge in, you just cut them, isolate them. Isolate one target, seven-sided with some other CC combo. You can just elite them as soon as possible. So that's the power of Deckard coming in. I think Boggy really has his hands on that Deckard right now.
Nice scroll of ceiling, not enough to actually execute anyone. Ballistix not in range. SDE finds Dami, who does not want to take that duel. They just trade blows and both of them disengage. A Sign finds Hooligan trying to be cheeky, but once again, a whole lot of posturing and yelling, but neither team actually willing to throw the first salvo.
As long as they control the macro, Ballistix will try to force this one out a little bit longer. Get this forward, get closer to 16, and get the Shrine right after. It seems like a very easy plan to me and Tempest. They can't really engage in reg. It is very risky. Certainly they can kind of do so before 16, but with one single kill happening against them, will just bring Ballistix closer to the 16, and even better time with the Shrine phase right after. So they choose not to do so, but they're just following up. Of course, they do have late game power spike post 16. I think they're really looking for that time right now.
It's half a level until 16 for Tempest. They just need to stay alive, but we see a great knock-up. Immediate new habits dropped by Dami, and a bunker as well, and that will force the disengage, but that's a good cooldown to burn. A Sign dives deep, he cocoons the Garrosh. This is a commitment here.
And Garrosh is the only one isolated good onto the side, but he's pretty low also, so you can't really engage in any more. Shrine is active, and Tempest, they actually bought a good amount of time for them to actually be closer to 16. That's a good move, but they still need a little bit more time before they can engage in.
They were looking for that blow-up, but that salvo from Phoenix dropped them a little low. They didn't want to group up around Garrosh even without that taunt. They were very happy to just eat that damage and back off, get 16, but they blew almost all of their heroics. Only Pyroblast and Divine Shield currently available, but they're still going to try and move in and make the play. 3-23 right now in favor of Ballistix.
There's the Pyroblast onto Hanzo. Hanzo will be just out of the fight. They're trying to push out the zone in the Shrine. They at least have to pick up the number. SC does take some damage, but that's a Pyroblast down already.
Signs moving forward, trying to zone them away as they turn around onto Urel. In comes Garrosh with the torch, and we see Anubarak in the bunker staying alive. A clutch save by Dami.
And Jonga just pressures in, but everything's outside. Cannot really stay alive for such a long time. Hooligan, they're poking out damage. There's a massive C, and Jonga is the first one to go down. They can pressure in so much, but Punisher does go to Ballistix. Can they find more kills? Divine Shield is time. Look at the scatter, doing massive damage.
Can they finish Dami? Dami tags through it, but they got Sign. In comes the Heraldric Cube just on the way out as well. But a great CC train by Tempest to finish off the Urel before our defender was dropped. But a fantastic counter engage by Ballistix. They got the Punisher, but a great use of this camp by Tempest to grab themselves a fort. So Ballistix reacting, taking a fort of their own.
It's really scary when you're down such low HP and you know for sure if you go in, you are very likely going to die, but you can kind of help your teammates to survive at least, or maybe get a kill if you have the teamwork. And Tempest, they were able to pull that off even if they had all the safety tools out of that. What a great team fight they had. They could have done a little bit more when they were lower because of the macro decision and they were behind against Ballistix. They had lower number, which gave them the Punisher. But this is a great start for them. Not too bad for a team fight.
Not too bad at all. Still a full level behind for Tempest, but they are far from out. They finally taken down a fort, so that means that if the next Punisher is, or the next couple Punishers, if they're able to grab one in top lane, they have a potential to actually get themselves a keep. So all they have to do is just soak experience, try not to fight once 20 hits, maybe fight beforehand if they can find a good opportunity, but for now, clearing lanes is #1 priority.
Oh yes, and they do have that Ashala Nore from having all the way, a massive wave clear, and they are stopping Hooligan pretty well when he wants to dive in, providing all the CC. Of course, that does get the cleanse out from Uther most of the time, but still, look at that change CC. And SC, he was barely even touched in this game, other than that one Pyro that we had.
Scouting by Hanzo. Less wide than it used to be, but still effective. Seeing everyone in this rotation, but they all do show on the minion wave anyway. Blaze already pulling back from D-pushing top lane a little bit, as he does not want to get himself caught out while all alone. He has gone for that extra armor on his thrusters, by the way, so cool to see that. And Kael'thas with the very standard Ignite here.
Let's see how Ballistix wants to set this one up. This is near the shrine, so maybe they do want to send it before. Make sure they have some value off this. Maybe try to push or damage the bottom one instead, having the opposite lane, making sure Tempest actually goes all the way down, so they're late for the rotation to the top shrine later on.
Half a level until level 20 for Ballistix. They're already posturing around, waiting for it, soaking the lane as they can, but also looking to see if they can get anyone who overextends, because a kill would be a huge boost to that 20. They don't want a full team fight, but they will absolutely take an isolation if it presents itself to them.
Of course, the key thing here is dominant positioning as well as the first one, second one. Bunker where he would be during the team fight. Can he actually save his teammate? Can he survive in the front line against so many TCs? He can't escape that proportion, has to hit the first target right in front of him. If he's blocked, he may be the one isolated. Look at damage. Damage is coming in. Armor, you do stack up with as a Garrosh, but against burst damage, it does not work as well compared to the continuous auto attacks.
Declare, this could be huge. The level 20 for Deckard Cain. Respect the elderly. The sleep is already good, but that post-sleep silence could be absolutely game-ending if the wrong heroes for Tempest, like that Uther, like that Kael'thas, even that Anubarak or Blaze are caught in it. Basically, Rain is the only one with a modicum of safety.
It will be really hard to keep their keys for Tempest, as they don't have too bad of a wave at the bottom. But look at the positioning of Blaze, because he doesn't really have the vision. Dami does have to be careful in a way, and there's no way they can actually fight for the Punisher. Very risky, though they choose not to do so, but they will very likely to lose the keep at least.
Remember, any of these fights can just gain an extra person at any point here, with the option for play of the game now online for Hanzo. But now, finally, level 20 available for Tempest. We have that revive here for the Uther, rewind coming in here for the Anubarak, so a huge amount of extra stuns could be clutch. That is a flamethrower for Kael'thas, an upgraded Hyperion for Reyna.
Such a big power spike for all of them. they're trying to open up this keep. Well, it won't really take too much damage as SE with the siege damage of the Phoenix. As the Punisher started to punch onto the key Tempest, they need to take this one down with Zara Hyperion, make sure it doesn't do too much damage.
Yeah.
It will be very hard to keep the keep alive, but they don't want it to go all the way to the core for sure.
You can see Raider getting that unstoppable with that indomitable resolve from his level 20. So if anyone had tried to dive with that Punisher, he would have been fine. It activates with his Inspire, so it is on a cooldown. He does have to be careful when he uses it. But we also see that now with that upgrade, give them some pepper. Give some pepper. I went very British and posh there. Will lower the cooldown of that Hyperion as well. So he's going to want to get that cooldown back as soon as possible for the next objective fight. As seeing as that keeps down, they need to clear out the lanes and then win themselves finally a Punisher of their own.
Tempest, they brought themselves into this late game. Not making sure they have the snowball in their sight, does not get too big into Ballistix's hands.
And that's why you don't face check, kids. This hooligan is able to scout that out. Hanzo reveals what was behind as well, what they were able to avoid with that quick scout with the Q. And everyone is fine on the side of Ballistix for the moment. They still have a full level lead. As they try to posture around. They find Dami, but not going to be a full commitment. Dami has too many reinforcements around it, but look at a Tubrak. He's wrapping around, but he sees the good retreat by Ballistix. They don't want to end up fighting under towers or forts, so he backs up.
Such a passive game from both teams.
Yeah.
They have the pressure. They know the winner goes straight to the final. Genji is already waiting. But we heard from them, the crowd in Korean land, with home crowd, they feel the pressure. They actually feel nervous that they did not feel back in Taiwan in other foreign lands because they do not have the home crowd right in front of them. As they're still playing this really passive, and this is what Ballistix is actually really, really good at. They keep their map control, make sure they get at least their value, or even more if they have the chance. So that's why they're having all the vision control around the map, even in the bottom lane. Tempest, because they know, they understand Ballistix, they will try to set that up sometime somewhere on the map. They're moving in to get in and out together, making sure they can save themselves at least.
That Shaman will get finished off very quickly because they are going to have to port back here. This pressure from Ballistix cannot be ignored, but neither can that Fallen Shaman as it will empower catapults. Ballistix, though, they know this. They know that everyone would have ported back at this point, especially as Blaze ports in a push, so he's not even showing. So Ballistix have to back up, and they're very happy to just steal away the the Impaler camp, basically the only mercenary left on the map.
Tempest and both Ballistix, they will be waiting for that next shrine phase. As Ballistix, they would love to get some more value off of the top keep that they have. Tempest, they actually went very far away from their zone because once they actually give more time for Ballistix to push the bottom lane as well as the camp on the top, they knew they were going to lose more. They're just slowly trying to find their holes here as Ballistix. They're not really showing any weak link in this game.
They're playing very safe. Currently though, Yrel not with them, and we see Tempest trying to make the most of that, but Vision is on them for at least a second there, and that gives time for Jongha to rotate back up and rejoin his team. They're going to begin to move forward. Tempest, this time though, they are not giving up without a fight. They have a Fallen Shaman camp. The catapults are not an issue for them right now. This objective, however, is.
Look at Jongha, he's ready to dive in to Kelta's line as Reina trying to flank from the side, getting some minions as well with a clear, but numbers about the same. Jongha dives into Dami, trying to have that poke in the front line.
I don't like the good use that Inspire so quickly. He will have it back now, but there was a window of opportunity there for Ballistix to engage without that Unstoppable. Speaking of Unstoppable, new habits on Dami as he gets the turnaround on Garrosh, but the quick toss with Titanic Might is keeping Hooligan alive.
He does keep him alive, but look at the Pyroblast. It is going! Hooligan does not go down. Get the clutch heal from clutch potion from Magi just at the end.
Turns out armor pretty good when combined with the shields of Deckard. And Dragon Arrow coming in, play of the game, the turnaround attempt from Ballistix to try and end this game as they move forward, but a noob with the counter engage. Dami goes down, but the Punisher is picked up by Tempest.
Punisher's picked up, but once they lose all the members, they will just go straight to the core. The game will
Lockdown
end. They're onto the chase. They want to grab few more members. Rainer seems to be the target, but they're also a little to know they can't really chase too well. The Punisher is pushing, so they made a good choice to go back and deal with the Punisher now. As Tempest, they didn't really lose too much. It was going to be a game-ending move if they lost the entire team fight and the Punisher, but they survived.
They're looking for a kill here. Flame Strike lands. There is the gravity lap, but Hooligan positions well, but he eats way too much damage as Good finishes him off.
He was alone, but you can't really save. They couldn't really save him. If Jungha went there, it could have been the worst situation where Punisher would just jump onto Jungha as well, providing stun and getting 2 kills instead. So it gives a lot of time for Tempest. Without the Blaze, they can actually push in a little bit further than they thought.
Seen that flamethrower gaining so much value from lockdown here as they push forward. The Punisher finally dies though, so this keep will not fall. The Fallen Shaman Cap in top lane also fell, so there is not going to be any keep for Tempest. They are still behind. They still have that consistent catapult pressure in the top lane.
They do, but because the Garrosh fell such after the entire fight while they were on retreat, they can get all the control with the camp. They can try to at least get the fort in the middle, or actually use all the camp and bring everyone to the mid and try to get the camp control on top as well, or try to get some soak damage into the middle keep.
They can certainly try, but that Impaler camp already gets completely wiped by Ballistix, while Tempest are off on the off at the bottom of the map. Looks like the fort is the name of the game. Safety here for Tempest, with Garrosh now respawning. They don't want to get themselves caught out pushing into a keep. Instead, this fort, a much more sensible and safe move.
It is totally.
Flame Strike's though, pretty good ability. As we see Muggy able to heal up once again. Impaler just short, and that fort will survive. But Kael'thas, once again, with Flamethrower, is very good at poking down things from afar.
And the wave on the top is actually stacking pretty hard. And over time, someone would need to go take care of that. Or Tempest, are they just giving that up and going for this camp? This is a very risky move. In a small choke point, Scatter will be just doing tons of damage. So, okay, they do decide to back out. They do need to deal with the catapult first. They can't just throw the game here.
They will absolutely end the game if they didn't deal with it. So it's a good retreat. Great move by Ballistix to not hard engage. Yeah, there's the option of engaging and trying to keep them there while the catapults go. But there's also the option where you can just delay, wait for the next objective. That you've grabbed a Fallen Shaman now, so that pressure in top lane will just reaccumulate once again. Playing the long game here for Ballistix.
They couldn't get the fort down on the bottom, which is, I believe, just one shot away, maybe one auto attack away from even a Kael'thas or something. But that's not going to help too much as long as they actually go in and bring down the keep. I believe the middle keep is the only damage one by maybe 10%, which is really tough in this case because they always have this massive pressure onto the top lane. Ballistix using that really well, trying to catch Dami in this case.
Good toss, trying to focus him down, but New Habits gives him that disengage tool straight away as Dami able to pull back. But he knows the pressure is on him. He was far forward there, trying to clear out that Fallen Shaman camp.
And in the back of the stage, Genji is watching this. The longer game goes, they will be happy.
Yeah.
To watch this long game go on and on forever, basically. And because none of these teams actually has a global, Tempest, they do not have a global, they actually need to move one down, which will take a very long time. They don't have anything like the Genji or the Junkrat to clear that easily or quickly enough. So all down to this shrine fight right here.
They begin to move forward. Paradra Cube does not see sign as he moves in, but a quick stun up by Hooligan prevents any kind of engage. But the positioning from Sign and Good is incredibly aggressive, and that is going to be dangerous. We see that Unstoppable used by Raider thanks to his level 20 as he's trying to stutter back and forward. The Pyroblast once again trying to take SC out of the fight, but the armor massively reduces the damage dealt.
And they have to remember the pressure's on to the top lane, and even the gigantic wave at the bottom. They're losing in the number as well. Tempest they're getting pressure. Dami goes in alone. Raccoon Unstoppable getting ignored by Hooligan. Reach out there. SD will be getting the shield as well after, but he survives good. He's pressured out. They're losing in numbers. Oh man, this is not good for Tempest.
Good D-shield. Very good D-shield. Dami won't escape. Dragon Arrow shuts him down. And with that double kill, suddenly Tempest are in an incredibly rough position as they have to deal with top lane. They will do that before there's any core damage, but this could be either a second keep or the game if Ballistix play their cards right.
Pretty long death timer, 45 seconds for both of the target, and Frozen Punisher walking straight in. They want to bring this keep down, and with the Punisher, it seems like it's just going to be the core call. I don't know what Tempest actually can do in this kind of case. They don't have anything like the Pyroblast to get the kill. They can do some damage. They need some crazy play from Lockdown, but that's not happening anymore.
Lockdown drops his shield. He's staying alive for the moment, but the core is not so lucky as Ballistix begin to burn this down. As Snitch said previously, Eastern Clash magic as Ballistix